Hello guys, this is Dr. Possibility from Excel Academy. Kindly make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure that you register with Excel Academy. In this mathematics revision, I'll be doing 2023-2024 Math 1120 Theory Sheet 1. So please make sure that you take note that this is part 3. That means that we have part 1 and part 2. Let's quickly get started. So in this video, I'm just solving two questions, question 8 and question 9. So question 8 has 6 questions and question 9 has 4 questions. And please take note that Excel Academy will be having some free catch-up classes which are going to start on Monday. So make sure that you get in touch with us to register for those free catch-up classes. Let's start with question 8. So question 8 is saying simplify the following or work out the following. So if you look at question 8, I'll write my solution. So for this one, I'll write as A. So for A, I've been given 1 plus 2i and then squared. So after that, what I'll do is that I'm going to expand this guy. I'll write 1 plus 2i and then cross bracket and then 1 plus 2i cross bracket. Then from there, I'll multiply 1 by everything there. So I'll say 1 open bracket 1 plus 2i and then cross bracket. Then I'll say plus 2i, then 1 plus 2i. Then from here, if you remember very well from class, I said 1 times 1 is simply 1. 1 times 2i is simply 2i. Then 2i times 1 is simply 2i. Then we have 2i times 2i. So 2i times 2i, we know that I squared is simply negative 1. So 2 times 2, it is 4. 4 times negative 1, it's what? Negative 4. So the concept about this, I taught it in class during our physical classes, and it's also in one of the videos on complex numbers. So make sure that you review that videos and you'll be able to understand in case you are not understanding. So 1 minus negative 4, it's simply negative 3, Then 2i plus 2i is simply positive 4i. So this is what we were asked to do, and this is the same as A plus BI or IB. Either way, it's just the same because multiplication is commutative. So from here, I can easily move on and look at B. So for B, I've been given open bracket 3 plus 2i cross bracket, and then you have 2 minus 5i. So ladies and gentlemen, since I expanded here and showed you how to do it, at this particular point I'll just be going direct. But since I'm sure there are people who did not understand this part, so I'll just go the way it is. So in that case, what I'll do is I'll put 3 outside, and this 3 I'll multiply it by everything there, which is 2 minus 5i cross bracket. Then there I'll say plus 2i, then open bracket 2 minus 5i cross bracket. Once I do that, what I'll simply do now, I'll say 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times negative 5i, negative 15i, and then 2i times 2, it is plus 4i, and then there you have 2i times negative 5. So I times I, it's negative 1. Negative 1 times that negative there, it's positive. So plus 10. Once we have that, we know T6 plus 10, 6 plus 10, and then minus 15i, and then plus 4i. What I've just done here, I've corrected like them. So from here, this will be 16 minus 11i. So this was the final answer at this particular question. Then we can go to C. I think C is also an easy guy. So C, it is 2 minus 3i, 2 minus 3i, and then cubed. So in that case, you need to understand that we are multiplying the cubed, this guy 3 times. So we are going to have 2 minus 3i, and then this 2 minus 3i, we multiply it by itself, which you are going to have again 2 minus 3i, and then we are going to multiply it once again to another guy, which we are going to put as 2 minus 3i. So once I do this, I can easily say I can easily work on this, guys. So how can I work on this, guys? I'll just simply say 2 times open bracket 2 times 2, it is 4. Then 2 times negative 3i, it's negative 6i. Then you know negative 3i times 2, it's negative 6i. Then you know negative 3i times negative 3i. Negative times negative is positive. I squared, it's negative. So we're going to have negative there, then 9, like that. Then from here, this one will be maintained like that, 2 minus 3i. So if I simplify this guy, 4 minus 9, it is simply negative 5. And then 6i minus 6i, it's negative 12i. So this is what I have at this particular point. Now I'm going to multiply this guy by that guy there. So if you observe, what we are just playing with is multiplying things, and the only concept which is here, it is I squared. I squared is equal to negative 1. So that's the concept which is just there. So from that part, you can multiply negative 5 times 2. Negative 5 times 2, it is simply negative 10. And then negative 5 times that's going to give you positive 15i. And then you know negative 12i times the 2, it is simply going to give you negative 24i. It's going to give you negative 24i. The negative 12 times negative 3i, what are we going to have? So what we are going to have is negative times negative, it's positive, and then I squared is negative. So this will be negative, then 12 times 3, it is simply 36. So if you do negative 10 minus 36, it's going to give you negative 46. And then if you do 5i minus 24, so this one will just simply give you negative 9i. So this is what we have on this particular question. So let's quickly look at D. I'll quickly look at D. I think D and C are almost the same. If you look at D and C are almost the same, just that at this particular point, you're going to multiply 4 times. So I will not solve D. I'll go direct to E. I'll go direct to E. So let me go to E. So D, you can submit it as an assignment. So for E, we have 1 plus C, square root 2, and then the I is outside. So the I is outside there. Then open bracket, you have square root 3 minus 2i. Okay. So from here, you're just going to find the conjugate of the denominator. I think this was explained in class about the conjugate, and there is also a video on complex numbers on this same YouTube channel which you can watch. So you're going to multiply the numerator by the conjugate, which is simply plus 2i, and then over, you also multiply the denominator by the conjugate, which is also plus 2i. So from what we learned, we know this times that. You can say 1 times 3, it is simply square root 3. 1 times 2i, it's simply going to be 2i. The step-by-step stage or solving, I explained it in class during our physical classes, or you can watch one of the videos. Then square root I times 6. So this guy will simply give you square root 6. This will give you square root 6 because you know square root 2 dot square root 3, square root 2 dot square root 3 is simply equal to square root 2 times 3, which is 6. But I won't write it anyway. I'll write it on the next stage. Then this times that, I squared it's minus, and then 2 will still be there, and then square root 2 will be inside. Then this will be over. You know this is a difference of 2 squares, so I'll change the color, which will be blue. So this is different of 2 squared, so you're going to say square root 3 squared minus 2i squared. So take note of that. Then from this stage, I can easily pick it up. From this stage, I can easily pick it up. So square root 3 and square root 3 and that one, they are not like terms, right? So I'm going to put square root 3 plus 2i, square root 3 plus 2i, and then plus, you know, this and that, they can be multiplied, and this will give you square root 6i, square root 6i, and then you know negative 2, and that it will just simply be like that. So from here you can work on the denominator. Square root 3 squared is simply equal to 3, and then negative times that I squared, which is a negative. So I squared is negative 1. Negative 1 times negative is positive. Then 2 squared is simply 4. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll keep on emphasizing on the same thing. Make sure that you register with Excel Academy. We are not just going to be solving tutorial sheets and many stuff, but we are going to solve tutorial sheets for you like we are doing. Then later on, we are going to solve for you handouts which are having questions from past papers. And after that, we are going to give you the assignment. So the assignment will help you to get exposed to new questions, because these examiners and lecturers will not bring the same questions, but they are going to give you new questions. That's why we are there to expose you to new questions. So from here, you can simply collect like terms, but in this case, your like terms will be the one with imaginary number and the one without any imaginary number. So there you're going to have square root 3 and then minus 2 square root 2, which are making up the real side. And then the imaginary side is having 2i plus square root 6i, like that. Then over, you know, 3 plus 4, it's simply 7. Once you do that, you can easily move on. You separate these two guys. So this can simply be square root 3 minus 2 square root 2 over 7, and then you can have this side to be a plus. Then there you're going to have 2 open brackets and then plus square root 6 close bracket I outside over 7. So at this point, I've just factorized an I. So this guy is the same as a plus bi, a plus bi. That's why I'll factorize an I there. So this is the real part and that is the imaginary part. So let's move on and look at the last question, which is my F there. So F is 1 plus 2i over 1 minus I. Okay, and then you're saying plus 1 minus 2i over 1 plus 3i. If you remember very well, one of our handouts at Excel Academy has a question of this kind. So I'm sure you guys will not be confused if you are registered with us. But for our friend who are not registered with us, who are going to watch this video, please follow the steps which I'm going to show. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to solve them like fractions. Common denominator is 1 minus I, and then another one which is 1 plus 3i. Then from here, this into that is this one, so you're multiplying the numerator 1 plus 2i, you're multiplying it by this one, which is 1 plus 3i. Then you say plus, then you're going to say 1 minus 2i cross bracket, you know this into that is that one, so which is 1 minus I, like that. With this information and understanding my steps there, you can now move on and work out everything in an easy and shortest possible way. So 1 times 1, it is simply 1. Then 1 times 3i, it's simply positive 3i. Then 2i times 1, it is plus 2i. Then you know 2i times 3i, it is negative 1 times 6, so which is negative 6. So there you're going to have negative 6, like that. Then you go this side, 1 times 1, it's simply a 1. Okay, 1 times negative I, it's negative I. Then you're going to say negative 2i times 1, it's negative 2i. Then negative 2i times negative I, negative times negative is positive, I squared is negative, so you're going to have negative 2. Then over, you know our denominator there, 1 times 1, it is 1. 1 times 3i, it is positive 3i. Then negative I times that, it's negative I. Then negative I times 3i, it is positive 3, so positive 3 there. So if you observe, the way I did 1 and the way I did B, the way I did A and B is not the way I'm doing F. I'm skipping certain stages, because in mathematics it's not just about solving, it's also involve time. So like terms, you know, this is a like term with that one, and then that one, and then that one there, right? So these are the like terms we are having. So we have 1 minus 6, it's negative 5, plus 1, negative 4, minus 2, which is just negative 6. So the real part on the numerator is negative 6. Then you are having this guy, that guy, that guy, and that guy. Those are the imaginary. So 3i plus 2i, it's simply 5i. 5i minus I is simply 4i, minus 2i is simply negative or positive 2i. Yeah, positive 2i, like over, you know, 1 plus 3 is simply 4, right? And then 3i that plus that, it is positive 2i. But this is not what we want. What we want, it has to be in the form a plus bi. So what we are going to do at this particular stage, you'll find the conjugate there. So the conjugate is 4 minus 2i. You just change the sign there. I think this was explained in class. And then there 4 minus 2i, just like we did in class during our physical classes. So for our friends who are not members, please make sure that you get in contact with me, and I'll make sure that I help you out. And don't forget, our catch-up classes are just coming out soon. So from here, you know, the denominator is difference of 2 squares, so you have 4 squared minus, and then you're going to have 2i squared, like that. After you have that information there, you're going to say negative 6 times 4, 6 times 4, it's negative 24, right? Then negative 6 times that, it is positive 12i, positive 12i. Then 2i times that, it is plus 8i. Then 2i squared, it's a negative, times a negative, it's positive 4. Okay, then over, you know, 4 squared, it is 16. Then minus I squared is minus I, 4, so that will be a plus. Okay, plus 4. Then you have negative 24 and 4, this will be negative 20. and then 12i plus I, it is 20i, right? 20i, then over 16 plus that is simply 20. So from here you can separate those guys, you can easily separate those guys. So this one, it will be negative 20 over 20, and then minus or plus, sorry, 20i over 20. So when you do that, this will give you negative 1 plus I. So negative 1 plus I was our final answer for this particular question. So guys, we can go to the next question. Let's go to question 9, which is a very nice question. Solve each of the following. Solve each of the following. So I'll write solution. Solve each of the following equation for x and y. So I'll start with A. So A, you have x plus iy, and then you are multiplying it with 4i, then should be equal to 8. So what you're going to do here, you say 4i times that is going to be 4xi, and then 4xi, 4i times that, I squared, it's negative 1, so negative 4y. Okay, it's simply equal to 8. So one thing that you have to understand is that this 8 is having another part which is not here, and this is the imaginary part, which is plus 0i. Okay, so that's the imaginary part, 0i. It has not been indicated there. So from there you can pick it up. I'm sure imaginary should be equal to the imaginary. So 4xi should be equal to 0i, isn't it? So I and I will go, so you have 4x is equal to 0, so over 4 over 4, and then that one and that one will go, so x is equal to what? 0. So that's the answer there. Then for y, you're going to say, and you know negative 4y is equal to 8 over negative 4 over negative 4. This one and that one, y is simply negative 2. So simple. Let's quickly look at B. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to solve B. I'm going to solve B, and then you guys will simply solve D. I hope that deal is okay. Either I solve D or I solve B. I think B, I solved B. Check one of my videos, should be 2023 past paper. I solved this type of question, B. Yeah, so I'm going to skip B so that you go and watch that video, and then I'll solve D and C. Yeah, I hope that deal is okay. Please go and watch my solutions on final exam 2023. I've solved B. So let's quickly look at C, which looks very easy. So 1 plus 2i close bracket, then we have x plus yi close bracket is equal to 3 plus 4x and then minus 4i. I'm going to multiply 1 times x, it's going to be x. 1 times yi is going to give me plus yi. Then 2i times x, it is 2xi. Then 2i times yi, it's going to give me negative 1 times 2 times y. So it's negative 2y like that. Then this should be equal to 3 plus 4x minus what? 4i. Okay. So from that understanding, we know this one and that one are real parts. So we are going to group the real parts. So the real part for this part, it is this guy and that guy. So you're going to say x minus 2y, okay, and then plus open brackets, this guy are imaginary parts, so you're going to have y plus 2 of which I'll factorize an I outside. So there is x. 2x is simply equal to these guys, which is 3 plus c, 4x, and then e minus c, 4i. So like we did with the first guy, which is our a, we are going to do the same thing. So the real part will be equated to the real part. So x minus 2y is equal to 3 plus c, 4x, and this will be our equation 1. Okay, so from equation 1, when you simplify, this will go that side, this will go that side. So what you're going to have something like 4x minus x. When that goes that side, this one goes that side, it's going to be plus 2y plus 2y. Then this can remain the way it is, 3, and then is equal to what? 0. Then from there, this and that is going to give us 3x plus 2y, and then this can go to the other side, and this will be negative 3. So this is our equation 1. Okay, take note, this is our equation 1. To have equation 2, I'll get the imaginary parts. So I'll get this one and that one. So I have y plus 2x, I is equal to negative 4i. Okay, so this I and that I will go. So I have y plus 2x, simply equal to negative 4, right? Yeah. So this is my equation 1. This is my equation 2. So I can solve equation 2 and equation 1 simultaneously. So I have 3x, okay, 3x plus 2y, 3x plus 2y. Okay, let me just quickly look at what we have. So 3x plus 2y, 3x plus 2y, which is simply equal to negative 3. So you have negative 3. This is equation 1. And then equation 2, it is y plus 2x, so I can write it as 2x plus y is simply equal to negative 4. So using elimination method, which I'm going to use, I want to eliminate y. So this one I'll multiply it by a 1. This one I'll multiply it by a 1. And then this other one I'll multiply it by that coefficient, which is a 2. So if you want, you can use substitution method, but I normally prefer using elimination method. So 1 times everything there, so this will be 3x plus 2y simply equal to negative 3. Then 2 times 2x, which is 4x, and then you have 2 times y, it is 2y, and then that times that is simply equal to negative 8. So using the elimination method, guys, go and visit your grade 12 work. So I'll subtract since they are the same. So 3x minus 4y, it is just negative x. Negative 3 plus 8, it's simply equal to 5. Yeah. So there I'll divide throughout by negative 1 by negative 1. That negative and that guy will go. So so what will happen is x will simply be equal to negative 5. X is simply equal to negative 5. Then once I have x is equal to negative 5, I can get one of the equations. So I'll get the second equation, 2x plus y is equal to negative 4. So if x is negative 5, so I'll say 2 negative 5 cross bracket plus y is equal to negative 4. So this will be negative 10 for sure, plus y is equal to negative 4. This will go to the other side, so y will be equal to negative 4 plus 10, right? Yeah. So y is simply equal to what? Simply equal to 6. So these are the values of y and the x. Okay, so with this information, guys, I can now go to D. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleading and asking you to register with Excel Academy, and I'm also asking you guys to make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I have x over 1 plus I, and then minus I have y over, you have 2 minus I, simply equal to 1 minus 5i over 3 minus 2i. So I'll solve the first side, the left hand side, just like fractions. So I'll find the common denominator, which is 1 plus I. I remember in class I taught two methods for a question like this one, and I hope you guys are able to remember such a concept. Then open brackets 2 minus I, like that. Then there, this into that, it is that. So x 2 minus I close bracket, then minus y, you say this into that is that, which is 1 plus I close bracket, is equal to 1 minus 5i over 3 minus 2i. Okay, so from here you can simply say x times 2, it is 2x, right? And then x times that, it's negative xi, negative xi, and then negative y times that 1, it's negative y, negative y times that, it's negative yi, like that. Then over, we have this, guys, 1 times 2, it is 2, 1 times I, it's negative I, then 1 times I times 2, it's 2i, then I times I, it's negative, and then that will be a positive 1. Then this is equal to 1 minus 5i over 3 minus 2i. So once I'm done with that part, I can easily simplify the other guy. I can easily simplify the other guy, but this guy cannot be simplified if you observe. So that guy can be maintained the way it is. So there I can simply say 2x minus xi, and then minus y minus yi over, I simplify the down part, it's going to give me 3 plus I. 3 plus I is equal to 1 minus 5i over 3 minus 2i. At this point, guys, I'm going to solve them just like fractions, but I taught another way you can do it, but this one is the fastest. So you're going to close multiply, so you're going to say 3 open bracket minus 2i close bracket multiply by 2x minus xi minus y minus yi close bracket is equal to, this is 3 plus I close bracket, then 1 minus 5i. Okay, so this guy is multiplying with this guy. So you can just start 3 times 2x, 3 times 2x. Let me use a different color at that point. So 3 times 2x is simply 6x. 3 times negative xi, it's 3xi. Then you start 3 times y, it's negative 3y. Then again 3 times negative iy, it's negative 3yi. Then you go for the other guy, negative 2i times 2x, it's negative 4xi. Okay, you need to be extremely careful. Negative 2i times negative xi, that negative times negative is positive, I squared, it's simply negative, so this will be negative 2x. Then you say negative 2i times y, negative y, so this will give you negative times negative times negative is positive, and then 2yi, right? Then negative 2i times negative yi positive, then that will be negative 2y, right? Negative 2y. So this blue guy is coming from this expansion there. It's coming from that expansion there. Then I can easily work on the other side. 3 times 1, so everything there should be equal to 3 times 1, it is 3. 3 times negative 5i, it's negative 15i. Then you can say 3 times negative 5i is that, then I times 1, it's positive I, then I times I for negative 5i, it is positive 5. Yeah, like that. So from here we'll keep on working. I'll go back to blue. So blue, if you look at the real part, so this is the real part, you have 1, you have 2 there, okay, you have that one, you also have that one. Okay, so like terms can be collected. So let's start with x. That one here is going with that one there, right? There is no other x there, so 6x minus 2x, it is simply 4x. Okay, then you go for y, so y there and y there, so negative 3y minus 2y is going to give you negative 3y minus 2y, it's negative 5y, right? Yeah, we are done with that part. Are we done? Yes, we are. Okay, let's move on and look at 3xi. Okay, so we have this one and that one to be like terms. So for this question you need to be a little bit careful. Negative 3xi minus, so this will be negative 7xi. Okay, we are done with this guy. Let's look at this guy and that guy. So negative 3yi plus that is going to be negative yi, because that's a 1, right? That's a 1 here, that's a 1. So this should be equal to, so guys, you just have to know what you are doing and you have to make sure that you are extremely careful. So 3 plus 5, it is 8. Then negative 5, 15i plus that, it's negative 14i. Okay, cool, done. So once we are done with that part, guys, then all our working has been worked on. So the real part has to be equated to the real part, so you have 4x minus 5y. 4x minus 5y is equal to 8. This is your equation 1. This will be your equation 1. Then you have negative 7. Okay, I'm going to work out that negative 7xi minus yi is equal to negative 14 I, negative 14i. Okay, so if I want, I can multiply throughout by negative, there will be no problem there. But if I want, I can just factorize. So here I can say negative outside, open, then I say 7x, and then my plus, because I've factorized a negative, y, then close, I, and then this should be equal to negative 14i, right? Yeah, cool. So with this information, it's very easy for me to work out that negative and that negative will go, that I and that I will go. So I have 7x plus y is simply equal to 14, and this is my equation 2. So this is my equation 2. So I have two equations now, equation 1 and equation 2. So I can solve equation 1 and equation 2 simultaneously. So let's quickly look at that. So I have my equation 1 as 4x minus 5y, which is equal to 4x minus 5y, which is equal to 8, which is simply equal to 8. Then I have my second guy, which is 7x plus y. So 7x plus y is equal to 14. So if you want, guys, you can use elimination method or you can use substitution method, but I always love elimination method because it's a little bit fast. So it depends with what works for you. So I want to eliminate y, so I'll multiply this by a 1, and then here, since I want to eliminate y, I'll multiply this by a 5. So 1 times everything there is going to be 4x minus 5y is equal to 8. Then 7x times 5, it's 35x, right? 35x plus 5y is equal to, then I'm going to say 14 times 5. 14 times 5 is going to give me 70. 14 times 5 is going to give me 70. Then I can easily eliminate y. Okay, I can easily eliminate y. So to get rid of I, I'm going to add. So once I add there, I'm going to have 35 plus 4. 35 plus 4, it is 39x, which has to be equal to 78, right? So over 39, then that and that will go. So from there, I'm going to have x is equal to 78, right? We have 78 divided by 39, 78 divided by 39, which is simply equal to 2. Wow, this is so perfect. I didn't expect it to give me a whole number. So a 2 there. Then from there I'll get the second equation, which is 7x plus y simply equal to 14. So guys, at this point I'll just encourage you guys to join our free catch-up classes, which will be taught by myself and my team. And I'm also encouraging you guys to make sure that you register with us for us to simplify these things. And just imagine, you are going to learn through our videos. You're also going to learn with us physically. We are going to give you handouts, we are going to give you assignment, and we are going to give you quizzes just in AET Kwacha. So guys, make sure that you register. So since x is 2, so there it's going to be 2 there, plus y is equal to 14. So 7 times that is 14 plus y is equal to 14. So y is equal to 14 minus 14, because that has gone that side. So y is equal to 0. So that's the final answer for that question. Remember, B you do the same way, but B I've already solved it in one of the past papers. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, you can WhatsApp me on those numbers, and you can also WhatsApp me for you to register with Excel Academy for physical classes and also to have access to all our videos. Thank you very much for joining me. This was Dr. Possibility from Excel Academy.